Hello, class. This is a slideshow of the life and works of Henri Matisse. This first slide has one of his paintings. The title is called The Dance. Okay, slide 2 is a little bit about Henri's life. He was born on December 31st in 1869. And he's from Nord, France. He passed away, unfortunately, on November 3rd, 1954, in Nice. He was also in France. He came from a humble background. His father was a grain merchant, and his mother was from a well-to-do family of tanners. His mother ran part of the shop that they had, and she would recommend house paints because she was also a porcelain artist, so she was well versed in colors. Matisse did work in different art forms. He was a sculptor, he was a printmaker, a draftsman, and a painter. He was best known for his paintings. Okay, this is on slide 3. He didn't start out as an artist. He attended law school and became a court administrator before he started to paint. His mother supported him by giving him art supplies, but his father was disappointed that he did not continue in his current position as a court administrator. He studied art in the Paris at the Académie Julian. This slide shows a portrait of Henri and his wife, Emily. This picture was taken in 1898, and there's a link here, to see where I got the information. Okay, slide 4. Matisse credited John Peter Russell with introducing him to Impressionism, and Van Gogh's work influenced him as well. Matisse changed his style after seeing a meeting with Russell. These influences happened around the time of this painting. It's known as Blue Pot and Lemon, and it was painted around 1897. Matisse was very interested in working in true bold colors. This was partly due to the Fauve movement at the time, and because of his mother's influence, because of the colors she used when she worked as a porcelain artist. The work here is entitled Joy of Life, and it was completed in 1905. It was a large painting, and it was done in very bright colors. It appears as if it was set on a stage, with the figures creating a circle of interest with the background leading to the sea. Much of Matisse's work was in a fashion known as Fauvism, which was before Cubism. It's also known as Le Fauve, which is French for the wild beast. It was one of the art forms Matisse was known for. This slide is a painting by Paul Cézanne, who also influenced Matisse. He has a similar placement of subject matter, setting the subject front and center as if it was on a stage. The color in this painting, it's not as bold as that of Matisse's in the above slide. The figures lead the eye towards the background instead of drawing the eye off the canvas. This setting will tend to hold a person's view on the artwork. If you're drawn towards the center of the piece and into the background, your eye tends to continue a circular movement, so it will tend to look at the artwork for a longer period of time. This slide 7, shows two pieces of Picasso's work. Picasso was an influence on Matisse. They met. He was about 20 years younger than Matisse, but he still influenced Matisse, and Matisse influenced him. These are two pieces of work that Picasso did. The one on the left, I did get offline. The one on the right, that was a picture taken at the Chrysler Museum in Norfolk, Virginia. It's not my favorite piece, but it was a real piece that I saw in person hanging on the wall in the Chrysler. And to me, that just holds more meaning than just getting something offline. But at any rate, these are two examples of Picasso's work. He and Matisse did become great friends, and they were known by art critics at the time as the leaders of modern art. This slide just tells a little bit about the composition on the right that I took in the Chrysler. Um, so that's really all there is to say about this. It's just a little history about that particular painting. This piece was known as I believe the woman in the hat, or no, the woman with the hat. Um, it's a very, very pretty piece. Matisse was a significant influence on a radical change in contemporary art during the 20th century. His art was a part of the Fauve movement, translated again to the wild beast. Um, and it was really popular in the early 1920s. He was also known for his use of color. He used vivid colors, and he painted in kind of an abstract quality, but at the same time, if you do look at the face on this particular slide, slide 9, the placement of the features really do line up proportionally with the size of the head. This is not the whole picture. This picture was a lot larger, the painting, but there is a link here, and at the bottom there's a link on my citations. I think the use of color here was very beautiful. Okay, here's a little bit about the definition of Fauvism. It was a movement that started in the 20th century. It was the first modern art movement. It means wild beast. Some of the artists included in that movement were Vincent van Gogh, Paul Gauguin, and Georges Seurat. Matisse was influenced by these artists. Fauvism started in 1899 and ended around 1908. This was an example of a sculpture that Matisse did. This was also in the Chrysler Museum. I took it when I visited in, I don't remember exactly when, but it was in the middle of October. Very nice piece, but it's very abstracted. This is known as, well, it's right here. It's known as Jeanette 3. It was done in 1911. Matisse had done several sculptures and he was doing them more in a realistic manner, but as he got more into some abstract and feeling the form as opposed to looking to create a realistic piece, he started to feel the features. And this was an example of that artwork. And this was in his later life. Matisse got to a point that he wasn't able to really move around a lot. He ended up in a wheelchair and in the bed for the most part. He started to take colors of paper and started cutting them out. He did this in the early days for placement when he was planning any sort of piece of art. If he was doing like designing stained glass windows for a church or something like that, he would cut out colors of paper and do the placement and have it planned and laid out. Then he realized that he could take these same pieces and put them all together and make them the actual artwork. And this was an example of cutouts that he did for called the swimming pool. There was a time when he used to swim, and when he had gotten to this point, he couldn't swim any longer, so he wanted the swimming pool. And there is another image of this online that actually shows a remake of his dining room, and that's where he had this artwork installed in his dining room. And this is where that they had it here in this particular museum in 2014. And I don't think I need to read all the citations to you guys, but this is the citations of the work and the titles of a lot of the work and the background images that I used. And most of them were just paintings. And I hope you guys enjoyed.